Man, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of EOS. It's 10 out of Jake, man. I'm rocking with y'all like y'all rocking with me. For this episode, I'm going to be speaking on somebody that got X'd out of blood while I was inside of prison. Now, my first adult prison was Appalachia Correctional Institution, and when I was sent there, I was sent straight to confinement the second I got there. Now, while I was in confinement at Appalachia, they would take out an orderly who's just someone that's going to either pass out trays or somebody that's going to help out with showers, whatever it is, and they would pick someone that's actually in confinement. It just so happened that they picked this kid. He was young. He came out. He saw that I was young because on the doors, it actually shows your picture, it shows your age, etc. And he was able to peep game. I was young and he asked me, what camp did you come from? I told him Lancaster. He told me he was at Lancaster. He asked if I bang. I asked him the same thing. Turned out he was pushing bounty hunter blood. He was claiming to be West Side. He was basically letting me know how the compound was, and he was getting out of confinement soon. He's going to put word out on the compound. Now, I'm all for it, and during my time in confinement, I'm finding out who's who. I'm letting my name be heard, back there in confinement. I'm trying to find out who my brothers are, if I have any that's back there behind there with me. And there was another orderly who was a barber who heard about me from Lancaster, who was able to put my name out there. So my name was already ringing on the compound. People already knew I was there. People started sending me, when I say people, I mean my brothers. They started sending me kites. They started sending me food. They started sending me soap. While I was in confinement, they were just waiting for me to get out so that they could meet me. So when I get out, I go to I dorm because I'm high custody. I go inside of I-4. The first person that I recognize is the same kid, bounty hunter blood, that was being an orderly inside of confinement. His name is Bobby. So I walk in, I view him. You know what I mean? I go to my room, I put my stuff down on my bunk. I don't make my bed. I stand outside of my door because I'm expecting a TOH. This is what I've gone through in the JIT camp. I'm expecting nothing less, so I'm sure homies are going to run down. They're going to do all that rah-rah shit. Oh, nah, you got to break it off. Oh, nah, you white, you can't. I ain't trying to hear none of that. Let's get it how we got to get it, and we going to rock. The homies approached me, and they were like, nah, bro, we don't even do TOHs. So I was just like, man, this shit weak. But then again, adult prisons rock differently than the youth offender prisons. So I get introduced to everybody. I'm meeting everyone, and Bobby was younger than me. I think it was only by a few months. I was 19, 20 years old when I hit Appalachia CI. I turned 20 inside of confinement. I think he was 19, and he was the youngest on the compound at that time. And I was telling him about a king that I was in confinement with. He was my bunkie. He was also at Lancaster. Because everybody that's young, you're going to talk about the JIT camp because the majority of us came from the JIT camp. So I'm telling him about the king. I put his name out there. And he's like, oh, yeah, I know who that is. I was at Lancaster with him. And he lifts up his shirt, and he's got stab marks on his arm. Like he had like holes from a poker. So it's just circular scars. But he basically said he got chased and he got poked up by the king that I was in the cell with. I was like, oh, shit. But you know what I mean? That's just, it's how it is. Because the king, I believe he had 2 cuts on his face. Everybody was getting hit up. If you were in the field, if you were going to war, you're going to get hit up. It doesn't matter who you are, how tough you think you are. If you're slanging iron, eventually that iron's going to hit you back. Now, I was in the dorm with this kid, Bobby, for mad long. Rambo got put in. Bemba got put in. Goo got put in. All the legends that I've been telling y'all about, all my brothers that's still in there, shout out to y'all. All of these people I've been speaking on for so long were all in this dorm at the same time as this kid Bobby. And Goo brought a different sense of unification to the compound. It wasn't like you're just going to be screaming blood and you really ain't going for it. You got to be willing to put in work about that. You know what I mean? And even though the compound, the tension really wasn't that high, he wanted to really make it more militant because there was a lot of homies that was slacking. There was a lot of homies that haven't experienced the wars yet. I came from the JIT camp, so I was already on point about all that and ready for whatever. But for the ones that didn't go through that and didn't experience it and haven't experienced war in prison yet, people were just moving around too sloppy. And I mean, eventually it got to a point that we weren't even supposed to smile in front of anybody else. We wanted to be straight, blank-faced, militant, marching around, no communication unless we have to. Like, You know what I mean? And we really just kept things amongst ourselves. But through organizing the homies on the compound and through weeding out who was weak, who wanted to listen, who didn't want to listen, people obviously had to be X'd out. And the weak seemed to just weed themselves out. And we started testing people. We started asking people to put in work, even though it wasn't a real mission. We just wanted to see their reaction. And when someone comes up to you and hands you a knife and tells you you need to stab so-and-so at this time, the second we go out, you're going to see their reaction. And a normal reaction, you're going to feel nervous. You're going to feel that feeling in your stomach that, oh shit, why'd I have to wake up and deal with some shit like this today? But there's one or two people. There's the person that's going to grab that knife and you're going to push through these feelings that you're feeling. And there's the person that's going to hesitate. There's the person that's going to show weakness. There's the person that's going to show doubt. They're going to try to finesse their way out of the situation. They're going to try to talk to, oh, I need to go to law school and get my time back. Motherfucker, you said you got 1,000,000 years. Why you worried about getting your time back? That shit ain't going to happen no time soon. And the thing about Bobby, he sat down and spoke on his case with me and a couple of the other homies. And he said, more or less it was him and a group of people. And they went and did some home invasion type thing. And I guess while he was robbing whatever section of the house, somebody did something and a female got raped. And we were all like, what the fuck? He would use to his defense that is what he was trying to appeal, was the fact that he had nothing to do with that. He had no intention on being a part of that, etc., etc. And he also stated that he was 14 at the time that this happened. And the other people that participated in the robbery told on him and said that he was the one that set up the home invasion. They tried to pin everything on him except for the rape because that was a different person who he said took the rap for it. At this time, we did not have cell phones at Appalachia CI. We didn't even have JPay emails or anything like that. So the only way you're able to run background checks is through the phone or writing a letter. And through doing that, getting on the phone and, hey, can you look up so-and-so? You can be put in confinement under investigation for asking questions about somebody else's case. So we didn't know the truth behind his case. We just took his word for it. It wasn't even his case that put him in question. It was his heart, because eventually he got asked to do something. We brought him a knife and said, hey, handle this with so-and-so. And he just had all these excuses as to why he didn't want to do it, which caught me. It didn't really catch me off guard, so I don't want to say that. But coming from a youth offender prison, action is damn near every single day. Every single day someone's getting cut, fired up, poked up, whatever it is. I would have the expectation that you would be ready in 2 seconds to go ahead and slang iron and handle whatever you got to handle, because you're already accustomed to it. You've already gone through it. You know what it's like. You've been hit up. Supposedly, you've hit people up before. Everybody likes to say they've hit someone up until you ask them who they hit up. And then they're like, oh, I don't remember his name. Oh, I don't remember if anyone saw me do it. You know what I'm saying? It's all just a bunch of bullshit. But while you're in prison, people can say that they hit someone up and they can name names. And as long as none of those names are there with you, you still can't verify it. So Bobby was tested and he folded. He didn't want to do it. And we were just like, all right, bro, say less. Like, don't even worry about it. You know what I mean? Like, you right. We're going to get you in the law library and this and that. And you're good, bro. And we ended up having a meeting at church. And church is used by the gangs as a means to either hold a meeting, to have a head count, to count how many members you have. Because it doesn't matter which side or which dorm you're on. Everyone is allowed to go to church at the same exact time. So that's a way that people are able to link up, pass kites. It doesn't even have to be gang members. It can just be anybody, drug deals, whatever. Church is literally used for everything except praying. And it was basically understood that when we go to church, Bobby finna get hit. Like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? And at the time, I had a clipboard. The piece of a clipboard, the metal piece that holds down the paper, I had that broken off and I sharpened it up into a box cutter. So, it's got a handle. It's, I don't know, probably like that long, but you can hold on to it and you got like a good 2.5, 3 inches still hanging out that you can use to cut. And word was Bobby was finna get hit. So, I'm talking to the homies. I'm like, hey, I got this. Like, boom, we can just, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't want me to hit him with the cutter. I don't really understand why, because now that I know what I know, I feel like he would have deserved so much more. But everything was already set in motion and somebody else was finna get tested for the specific situation. So when we get to church, we go through the gate. There's literally like 30 of us. We go through, we line up out front, and we kind of like circled up, and nobody was in front of the church as far as COs or any staff members. Bobby's just standing there looking stupid and goofy and shit, chewing on his finger or some shit. And one of the homies, a homie from Tampa, he starts sneaking up behind him more or less. And when he gets the open chance, he hits Bobby in his shit. His jaw got rocked. More or less, Bobby got up out of there in 2 seconds and was like standing on the walkway. His shit was kind of split, you know what I'm saying? He had blood in his mouth and blood on his hand. And he's just holding his face like this. Like he didn't want to crash. He didn't want to fight. This was an opportunity for him to show hot in a sense without it having to get insane. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to send somebody on a mission they can't handle. You put a knife in somebody's hands and tell them to go hit somebody up, and that person is more experienced or has less hesitation, you're going to get your own person killed. So from my understanding, they sent a homie at him to just hit him in his shit, and they go watch them boys bump. And we were so deep, nobody would have seen the fight, and we would have went right into church, and we would have left church. It was like somewhat like a TOH, but we really caught him off guard because it wasn't inside of the dorm. He didn't have his back to a cell. And the reason for that is any dog will bite if their back is to a wall. You know what I mean? Eventually, that person's going to fight back. We wanted him to feel like he didn't have to fight back, to see if he would fight back. And he didn't. He failed miserably. He backed up into the walkway. He held his shit until a CO was looking at him. The CO cuffed him up and took him to confinement. You know what I mean? And they cuffed him up and blood's coming out of his shit. And I'm just thinking to myself, if it was going to end like that, if it was just going to be a flop, we should have just cut him, honestly. We should have just really X'd him out full throttle and, really put it to him, really fucked him up. But it is what it is. And after I was released from prison, I looked up Bobby. And through looking him up, I was able to find out the details of his charges. What pissed me off even more, because now I really regret not punishing this kid when I had the opportunity. A 14-year-old raped a 10-year-old girl walking to school in Belgrade, Florida, and tried to sexually assault an adult woman, authorities said. Palm Beach County Sheriff's deputies arrested Bobby Martinez at Crossroads Academy. Martinez is charged as an adult with sexual assault by a person under 18 on a victim under 12, as well as kidnapping, both felonies. With the alleged victim's relatives in court, the assistant state attorney said the high bond is justified based on the very violent and serious nature of the crime. Martinez is separately charged as a juvenile with one misdemeanor count of simple battery in the second attack. The 10-year-old told deputies she was attacked at about 7:45 a.m. The girl said a teen grabbed her neck and forced her into an abandoned home. He said if she said anything to anyone, he'd have his brother shoot her. The girl said he then raped her. She said she ran home and told her mother. A little after 8 a.m., the principal later told deputies he noticed the teenager arriving for class with his white collared shirt dirty with debris. Martinez denied being involved but agreed to give a DNA sample. Meanwhile, a 26-year-old woman had told deputies she was on her way to pick up her daughter at school when someone grabbed her from behind around the neck, knocked her down, and tried to sexually assault her, then fled. She contacted deputies again the day after the alleged rape to say the two might be connected. Both the woman and the 10-year-old have identified Bobby Martinez through a photo lineup. After picking out her attacker, the report said, the 10-year-old snatched a piece of paper and covered up his photograph. Now, hearing that shit, I was pissed, and it makes me wonder why the Florida Department of Corrections doesn't operate like other prison systems where paperwork is a must, where checking the paperwork is a must. Why is Florida like that? Why is it harder for us to do so? And then again, they obviously in California and out west, they're programmed differently. They have GP yards, PC yards, and now they're mixing them both. So Cali is slowly turning into Florida. But it just pissed me off to be around somebody like that and then hearing what they did and why they were in prison. And I'm not the fucking prison executioner. It's not my job to hit up everybody with a fucked up charge inside of prison. It's just more personal because I was around that person. You know what I'm saying? Now I have a daughter. I got a niece. So it's a different feeling behind it. But it didn't end there. See, Bobby Martinez, his stupid ass, after he went to confinement, he ended up getting shipped. I don't know if he checked in or whatever happened, but he never hit the compound again. And you know, word travels. Y'all have seen my brother Savage. I've done videos on him, and all y'all know about Goo. Well, it just so happens that all of them ended up going to CM, closed management, Santa Rosa, where you're in confinement and you're stuck there for mad long. And from what I heard, both Savage and Goo were placed in a cell with Bobby Martinez. And guess who got beat the fuck up every single day? Guess who didn't get to eat his food? Guess who was just in there getting his shit rocked day after day after day? What blows my mind is I see new tattoos on his throat. He got the star on his eye. He never had none of that shit. So it just shows it doesn't matter if he gets smashed off of this compound, smashed off of this compound. He's been locked up since he was 14. He claimed to have like 40-something years. The kid's got like 25 years. He's trying to appeal his case. I don't know. It seems like blood is the only thing he can hold on to, even though he's never been that. He never will be. And on every corner inside of the Florida Department of Corrections, whether they find out his charges or not, they're going to find out what's inside of his heart, and they're going to see he's not built for that. And eventually it's going to end with consequence in which he's either going to be severely injured or killed inside of prison. But I have no sympathy based on his case, based on his charges. I have no sympathy for him whatsoever. And you know, when it happens, I'm going to make a video on it. And I'm going to speak on it. And it is what it is. But this is the reality of Florida State Prison. A lot of people assume that, you know, I'll make videos about other gangs. Nah, I'll tell y'all who was within ours and who was fucked up. He should have got. But it's out of my hands now. And I'm not going to put that onto somebody else because we're not on here trying to send hits or anything like that. We're trying to just expose the Florida Department of Corrections for what it is. Expose the reality. Expose the fact that you might be kikiing with somebody and you don't even know what the fuck they did. And you don't want to be around these types of people. You don't want to be around people with charges like this. You don't want to be around people that have violence coming to them eventually. You don't want to be around fake, fraudulent people whose karma will eventually catch up to them. But hey, it's 1090 Jake. I'm rocking with y'all like y'all rocking with me. Till next time.